Hello everyone, this is Rick Latona, and this is the open house presentation of Mafia Kings. And I'm joined by Peter Zaborski. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Peter, thank you for coming.
Yeah. Hi, thank you.
Yeah, so before we get into this, I need to do a little bit of housekeeping. This is for people who may have a hard time hearing us right now to have a chance to read it. And, also for everybody else, if you have any questions during the call, please use the GoToMeeting tool or GoToWebinar tool to ask them, and I'll read them and I will ask them at the appropriate time if I know that we're about to get to a section that's going to cover it, or at the end if we don't have a section for that. That's it. So let's get into this. So, Peter, maybe you can start us off by telling us a little bit of the history of Mafia Kings. Why did you start it? What's the story behind it?
Okay, so it's a text-based online game. These have been around for a long time now, probably over 10 years. And I started making these games when I was about 16. And this one I actually bought in January 2011. So I've owned it for 2 years now, and it was created by a guy in Romania. And yeah, so once you log in, it's more a text-based game, so it's a bit more like reading a book rather than watching a film. But there's a kind of a small niche of people who play these kind of games and do actually spend a lot of money on them. So that's generally the game summed up. Obviously, it's about the mafia, and you can start gangs and fight each other and things like that.
Okay, well, I think so everybody watching can understand the game itself, we've got the trailer that you created that I'm about to play, and if anybody wants to watch it they can just go to MafiaKings.com, and there's a link to watch the video right there on the website. It might come across a little jerky what I'm about to play now because I'm playing it on my computer, which is then being broadcast on the GoToWebinar software. I also have the volume turned off, so Peter, if you can just kind of tell us what people are seeing, that'd be great.
Sure.
So here you go. I'm gonna hit the play button.
Yes, I mean, the kind of motto or the tagline of the game is always, can you be the best? Everyone's trying to be the best. That's kind of the interface of the game, so you can see it's all text-based. You have this interface of the city, and that's where you can go and do crimes and meet with strangers and look for goods and things like that. So it's all kind of clicking on buttons and then reading what happens. It's a lot like the role-playing books that used to exist or do exist 10 or 20 years ago. Yeah, so you can just see kind of me going through all the pages in this video. I think that one's just searching for another mobster. Yep. You can see there's quite a lot of stuff to do from the menu just there, and that's not even half of it. So just on the menu you can just about make out New Jersey, which is the third option, and that's the city where you go, and then you've got plenty of options there to do things. As I said, that's like doing crimes and growing drugs and things like that. And that's the donation page. So I guess we're going to talk about revenue later, so I won't answer those yet. I won't talk about that yet.
Sure. Thanks. Okay. Let's move along then. So everybody can see this. The deal is it's a business that's being sold for just 2 years revenue. It's a $27,000 a year business. Yeah. So the revenue looks pretty stable. Some months are a little lower, some months are higher, but so you have 110 to 120 active paid accounts. Do you know what your average retention ratio is on one of those customers? Like how long, how
Uh,
many months do they pay before canceling?
it's a good question. I don't have exact data, but I mean, due to the fact that in the last 6 months, I've only done the bare minimum of maintenance. So those what you're seeing is those active users are the ones that are they're pretty much never going to leave, or they not for a long time, because they're kind of the core users.
Right.
As for new users, it varies a lot, but you can see from there that the paid accounts only bring in about $400 or $500 a month. So really, it's these upgrade packs which bring in a lot of the money, and a lot of the like a lot of people, they pay for a paid account for a small while, but they do buy a big upgrade pack, so the actual revenue per user is pretty high. I mean, the actual if you look at total.
So like, what's an example of something you get in the upgrade pack?
One of the really common ones is for $20 you can buy, I think it's 20 acres of land, and then on that land you can grow drugs. And the only way to actually grow, like, non-paid users can't grow drugs, paid users can, or they can buy land at least to grow the drugs on. So that's one of the upgrades. But then also the users, as they fight, they need to increase their strength, or their and some other things, but mainly it's strength that counts when they're fighting. And you need to go to the gym to train that, and for that you need these things called points. And the upgrade packs, one of the main ones that get sold are these points packs. So for people to actually train in the gym, they buy these packs. And largest pack is $400, and do sell some of those quite often.
Oh, wow.
And then some, like say for Christmas, or like special occasions, sometimes I do like 50% off, or you get an extra 50% for these points packs, and those are quite popular. So users usually kind of snap them up when there's these special discounts.
Interesting. And what's this about the Yakuza battle?
So that's just a reskin version of the game. So that means the entire game is pretty much the same, but it's set in Japan, and it's all about Yakuzas. I made that when I was kind of thinking about how to make some more money from Mafia Kings, and I thought if I start a brand new game, then that might bring in a bit of cash. And yeah, that brought in 3,500 in the past year, and that's still running with a few active users, but it never really got as popular as Mafia Kings.
And that's this site right here that I'm putting on the screen?
Yep, yep.
And that's included in the sale?
Yes, yep. And I mean, you can try and do exactly the same thing that I did and make another game which is the same dynamics but a different skin. You could set it in, I don't know, Indonesia, or I don't know, Australia, or some other place with, I don't know where, places where there's mafia, but I guess that's everywhere.
Yeah, every culture has their own mafia, right? They just call it different names. I'm Sicilian, so there's only one mafia as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
But, all right. So we've got some screenshots we're going to go through that you took this time to send us. We appreciate it. What is this that we're looking at?
So you can either pay by PayPal or this payment processor called Payment Wall, who they give the users plenty of options to pay, which makes it really convenient for me because I don't need to sign up to payment processors who do mobile payments and then other ones who do bank transfers and things like that. So Payment Wall just takes care of that for you. Users can also complete surveys and things like that, and then they can earn cash, which brings me money in, and then they get points in the game or credits. So say here you can see that the revenue in the last 30 days, starting from, well, the 30 days starting from the 29th of November, sorry, was $64. That was a bit low actually, because I think in the next screenshot you can see that there's actually about an $800 payment due from them this month. So kind of going back 2 or 3 months.
That's this one right here?
Processing. I can't see it yet, but you know, so I mean, this revenue from Payment Wall varies a bit, but sometimes it brings in hundreds of dollars a month. It depends really.
Oh, here's the one that
Yeah,
says
here we
what
are.
you were owed. Okay, so January. Um, so you have
Yeah, so you
so
can
you
see
have
the
all
kind
these
of scheduled
payments.
payouts there.
So you got scheduled payouts way in advance.
Yeah, yeah.
So that money that's going to be coming to you in April is for what?
Um, yeah, so I'm with.
Is
They
it a
have these
rolling
mass.
reserve? Is it a rolling reserve? Is that what's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's a bit frustrating because they get a payment on a mobile, and they have to, and that gets processed by someone like I can't remember who it is, but the mobile payment processor. Then they pass the money to payment wall, then they pass the money to me. All of it gets admin. So for some of the revenue that comes through it, it takes 3 months to process. So that's why you're seeing like some revenue that I make in December is only going to be paid out in April.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, unfortunate. I tried looking for other processors, but all of them share this. So unfortunately, I've got to live with it.
Okay. Well, it's good though that they can handle all those things. I mean, sometimes you just have to live with it, like you said. So what is this here?
Okay, so one of the main sources of the traffic is these things called top lists, where the players go and vote every day for their favorite game. So there you can see on position 9 is Mafia Kings with that's 1,100 votes in this month, which I took the screenshot at the end of December, so that was over December. And you can see kind of the ranking of the top 10 games here, but I mean there's hundreds, even thousands of these games. And this is one of the best top lists. So you can see that position 9 I think is pretty good, and Mafia Kings has been there pretty much for the last 2 years, not decreasing at all. So in kind of the ranking that the users make by voting, it's quite high up.
That's great.
And then what happens is all the visitors come into this website and then they kind of click on the list. You can buy a banner in the listing and then that increases the clicks out usually. So it's a really good way of marketing for free because your existing players vote for the game and then you get new players clicking on your site and signing up, and it does convert very well.
I bet. All right, so you sent us a couple PayPal screenshots just to kind of, I guess, give us a feeling of the pace that the charges are coming in and the variation of sizes. I'm just going to
So
kind
the
of...
$5 ones is probably someone upgrading their account, and then the 40 and one there for 250. He's obviously buying something big, so that does vary quite a lot.
Yeah, people really get into these games, huh?
Yep.
All right, so here's a screenshot we took from this is all of 2012. We thought that it represented the stability of the traffic, but we put that arrow next to the returning visitor number, 80%. That's really high, and that's great news. People. It sounds like once you get them converted, that they actually like it and they keep coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly American, a lot of British. I guess maybe because it was started in Romania, they've got a little bit of a following there.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
And then, of course, there's a couple things worth highlighting on this little clip that we took from your analytics. The pages per visit, 69.67. You don't really see that many sites with such a high page count per visit. But I guess the nature of it being text-based, I think
Yeah, there's a lot of clicking and doing stuff. Yeah.
Right. But I think that's actually a higher page count per visit than Facebook has. And then they spend 31 minutes on the site.
Yeah.
So here's the traffic sources. So that referral traffic, that 11.9%, is that primarily people like that
Yeah,
list
that
that
top
you were
list.
showing us
Yeah,
earlier?
yeah, that's pretty much going to be almost all of it.
And I imagine a lot of that direct traffic is your returning visitors, and then you have
Yeah, yeah.
28% search traffic. So, um, why are people searching for Mafia King Server 2?
Um, that's that's another probably a year and a half ago. That was before I did the Yakuza battle thing. I also launched just server 2 because a lot of games they reach a certain point and they fill up and people aren't that motivated anymore. So I tried opening another server where they can start just Mafia Kings again. And yeah, so that's still running. I can check the stats quickly.
Is that because like everybody's character is too powerful? It doesn't do any good
Yeah,
to
yeah,
try to enter it?
yeah. And then all the new players feel quite bad about not being able to catch up.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, server 2's got 29 paid members right now, 39 active users. So a small amount of people who kind of want to play that one, and I guess they've got a better chance there.
Got it. This is just a couple clippings that we took from SEM Rush to show the stability of or show the keywords that are bringing in. And from Majestic, a little bit about your backlinks. Do you have an SEO strategy for this site?
Didn't have one at all, no. It works without search engines, really. Okay. I never really thought about that, so maybe that's some way you can expand it.
I guess it's more of a social marketing type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I guess you get. I mean, the best paying customers are always the friends of the players. So if you can get players to get their friends to join, that's always the best way to get paying members. I just find they convert amazingly well.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're going to retain too because they got someone to play that they know. All right, so doesn't look like you have much expenses. So it looks like it's either one or two numbers each month. Why is it always either $15 or $160?
Yeah, so if you remember that top list, the $15 is to have a banner in your listing, and $150 is to have your banner at the very top of the list, so above the #1 spot. Mm-hmm. And they have an auction for that every month. Sometimes I won the auction, sometimes I didn't. And yeah, if I could buy it for $150, I usually did. So that's the kind of advertising expense, and it's worth it because I think out of the last 2 times I bought it, one time the $150 only bought in I think about $80. So then after the next time I did it, paid the $150 again, and then a new user came and he spent about $600 in the game. So you can get quite a good return there. It might not happen in 1 month, but then the other month, if you get a decent player, then they can spend quite a lot. So that's the advertising is the main expense. There isn't really anything else.
How are you getting it hosted for free? Is the new owner going to have to pay for hosting?
Yeah, they are. I've got a hosting with my investors, business partners in my company, so I don't have to pay for that. But before I bought it, the guy was hosting it on a dedicated server, which cost $99 a month. So it's kind of a low-end dedicated server is enough for it.
Okay.
So that, yeah, your expenses would go up a tiny bit. So
tell us about the day-to-day operations of running this business.
So you start out at the bare minimum, which I've been doing recently, and you can see the players are still stuck around and they're still playing. But I mean, for that, it's a bit of maintenance with the players. So I mean, sometimes one player does something against the rules and another one complains, and then you have to ban the other one, or they steal and scam someone or steal money from them, and then you have to give it back. Those kind of things. I mean, you log in. I usually log in every day at the start of the day and then check any messages I've got. There's usually about 2 or 3 messages from players every day. Maybe one of those is something where I actually have to do something. So that takes about half an hour. But then about 6 months or a year ago, I was still developing new features for it. But I mean, that's pretty flexible because it really depends on what you want to do with the game. But you can definitely invest a lot of time in building new features for it. But then obviously the players will be a lot more happy, and they're a lot more likely to spend money if they can see the game being developed and taken care of a bit better.
Right. So we've talked about skinning the site and a few other things. You know, if someone was buying this thing from you and then at the closing, while they're handing you the money and the contracts are done, and they said, "Well, what did you always envision of this site? What are the things that you always wanted to do but you never got to? You know, where do you see the possibilities? What would you tell them?"
I think the main thing I would have liked to do is to improve the graphics a lot, because it's quite a raw text game, and I think it can do with some improvement. Just kind of small icons, and you don't really want to change the nature of the game because then you'll lose some players, but if you just make it look slightly nicer, that's definitely a positive direction, and that'll definitely get the players more motivated, seeing that they've got an active owner again. After that, you can start to think about what actual improvements to make to the game, or what new things to do to add. And the whole thing's coded in PHP, so I think pretty much everyone can code in PHP who's a programmer. And you know, I mean, if you say every 2 weeks or every month you add a new feature, the players would be really, really happy. Which also means when new players sign up, the older players are going to tell them to stay because it's an active game. So your new player growth is probably going to be a lot better as well. Those are the two things I'd really see growth in. And if obviously it's a good thing if you've got a bit of cash, then you can try out different forms of advertising apart from the ones that I did, because there's plenty of these top lists, so you can try and advertise on lots of them. Spend a bit more on that and see if you can get some new players in.
Great. Well, listen, you know, I was asking, I did get questions, and I snuck them in while we were going through.
Okay.
So if anybody else has any questions, go ahead and speak up, because we're on the last one that I have prepared. And that's just, you know, why are you selling the site?
I'm building other projects, so cash is always nice for that. And yeah, as I said, I'm not really spending a lot of time on Mafia Kings, and I guess it's better if it's kind of built, or someone who's slightly active takes it over and makes a success of it. That would be quite nice. Yeah. That's the two reasons, really.
All right. Well, someone just threw in a late question. They're asking, you know, are you or anybody available for support or anything post sale?
Yeah, sure. I think if we write a contract on sale, then I can agree to whatever I think, like 30 days, 90 days, whatever whatever you think you need. I'd definitely be willing to agree to that, give you some support, because.
All right, well then we'll just say that it's negotiable. We'll figure it out when it's time to figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Hey, you did a great job, and I mean, usually when there's not a lot of questions at the end, it's because we explained everything to the audience clearly, and I hope that's exactly what happened. Okay. So, thank you so much for your time, and that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.